These would clearly be the best over-the-counter hearing aids if it wasn't for one major flaw. Hey guys, Cliff Olson, Doctor of Audiology and founder of Applied Hearing Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona, and in this video, I am doing a detailed review of the new Lexie B2 Plus self-fitting over-the-counter hearing aids. Over-the-counter hearing aid company Lexie recently released an upgraded version of their Lexie B2 over-the-counter hearing aids. Currently, Lexie offers 3 different over-the-counter hearing aid options on their website. They have their Lexie Lumen disposable battery over-the-counter hearing aids, the Lexie B1s, which are their Bose-inspired disposable battery option, and the Lexie B2 Plus, which replaced their original Lexie B2s that are their rechargeable version with Bluetooth streaming. If you're interested in checking out the Lexie Lumen or the Lexie B1 hearing aid reviews, I will have both of those videos linked in the description. Of course, in this video, I'm going to be solely focusing on the Lexie B2 Plus over-the-counter hearing aids. Now, just in case you are unfamiliar with what an over-the-counter hearing aid is, essentially they are a new category of devices that are intended for adults with perceived mild to moderate hearing loss. These devices can be purchased without receiving a hearing test and without having to go in and see a hearing care professional. Your success with an over-the-counter hearing aid like the Lexie B2 Plus heavily depends on your level of hearing loss as well as your ability to self-customize the programming of these devices. If you happen to try the Lexie B2 Plus self-fitting over-the-counter hearing aids or any over-the-counter hearing aids for that matter, and you do not receive a significant amount of benefit, it is probably time for you to seek out the help of a hearing care professional who follows comprehensive audiologic best practices. And one of the best ways to find a hearing care professional who follows these best practices is to go to my website hearingup.com and find a Hearing Up Network member in your area. Hearing Up members have been vetted and are committed to following comprehensive audiologic best practices to ensure that you can hear your absolute best. So if you want to make your over-the-counter hearing aids work better, or if you want to maximize your hearing performance using prescription hearing aids, then finding a Hearing Up Network member in your area is your best bet. All right, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into my detailed review of the new Lexie B2 Plus self-fitting over-the-counter hearing aids. Both the Lexie B1 and Lexie B2 over-the-counter hearing aids were originally developed by Bose before they shut down their hearing aid division. Since Bose Ventures invested millions of dollars into the HearX group that happens to own Lexie, it was a natural transition of the technology from Bose over to Lexie, including the Bose Sound Control app. This pretty much makes the Lexie B2 Plus a Bose self-fitting hearing aid with sales and support provided by Lexie. The B2 Plus happens to be the most expensive over-the-counter hearing aid option from Lexie at $999 for a pair, and it does come along with the charger. It also comes with extra open and closed domes in 3 different sizes, a cleaning brush, earwire measuring tool, extra wax traps, and a user manual. You do have the option of purchasing their 24-month protection plan for an extra $180 that covers accidental damage to your devices, and if your hearing aids get lost or stolen, you can have them replaced for only $360. Otherwise, these devices come with a pretty standard 45-day trial period and 1-year warranty. You also have the option of a care kit that you can purchase for an extra $240 and comes with extra supplies to maintain your hearing aids. Now, you do get a lot of extra domes and wax traps with that kit, but this seems to be a little pricey if you ask me. As a veteran myself, I do appreciate that Lexie offers a 10% discount on these devices. Of course, veterans in the United States can easily go to a Veterans Administration and get premium prescription hearing aids for absolutely free, and they get professional care along with it. These devices are also FSA and HSA eligible. All right, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the Lexie B2 Plus over-the-counter hearing aids, and you might be thinking to yourself, these look a heck of a lot like the Lexie B2 hearing aids that were released a few years ago, and you know what? You would be right, because I would bet that if I held these up for you, you would not be able to tell which one is the Plus and which one is the regular. But there is an improvement with the charging case of the Lexie B2 Plus. This charging case still has a USB-C connection on the back of it, which is great for quick charging, but the case itself has an internal power bank that stores an extra full charge of these devices without having to have it plugged into the wall. When these devices are charging, you do get a flashing light right next to the hearing aids there. I don't know if you guys can see that, but when they are fully charged, that light remains solid. You do get up to 18 hours of battery life on a single charge. Of course, I have found that that battery life dwindles much quicker if you're doing a lot of Bluetooth streaming. Now, there is a magnet that pulls these hearing aids into the charger case, which is nice, so they don't just fall out. and it pulls it into the proper positioning for charging, but they are still easy to remove from the charger, so if you have finger dexterity issues, that shouldn't be an issue with these hearing aids. Unfortunately, these hearing aids do not automatically turn on when you pull them out of the charger case like you get with a lot of other hearing aids out on the market, so you do have to push down on the bottom push button for a couple of seconds to turn them on. Now that push button that they have on them does go up and down, and they are synced together. So when you click on the upper button there, that will increase your world volume. When you click on the bottom button, that will decrease your world volume. And both of the hearing aids go up and down together because they are synced together. On the very bottom of the hearing aid, you can see those gold charging contacts. So these do not have inductive charging. They do have contact charging. So you have to make sure that you keep those contacts clean. Otherwise, it will interfere with the charge that you want to get from your charging case. The microphone ports are on the sides of these devices, and they do have 2 microphones in each device, which will enable their front focus feature. Okay guys, if you're enjoying this review video so far, do me a huge favor and click the like button. That really encourages me to make more detailed review videos just like this one. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on, go ahead and do that as well. It is greatly appreciated. That being said, let's get back to the review. Now, if you look up quotes from Henry Ford, he originally said that you could get the Model T in any color that you wanted to, as long as that color was black. And the same is true with these Lexie B2 Plus devices, which is you can get them in any color that you want as long as that color is gray. Other than that, let me go ahead and show you what they look like when I put them on my ears. Get the right one on there. I will say that they are a little bit on the bulky side, which is to be expected given that they do have a lithium rechargeable battery inside of them, but this is going to give you a little bit of an understanding of what they look like behind my ears. Of course, I would prefer a different color to more match my hair color, but what can you do? I will say that the most unfortunate thing about these devices, and something that I happen to think is pretty much a fatal flaw, is that they are extremely uncomfortable. So if you actually look at the receiver wires on these, do you see how that dome is pointing almost like directly up? Well, that is really good when it comes to retention. Like, these things are not going to come off of your ear, but it pushes so hard up against the top of my ear canal that I can only wear them for a few minutes before they become extremely uncomfortable. Now, I had the same exact issue with the Lexie B1s and the Lexie B2s, and they just have decided not to change this at all for whatever reason. Now, you can get these wire lengths in different lengths. They come in length number 2, but you can go a little bit shorter with length number 1 and a little bit longer with length number 3. So if you run into the same issue with the length 2 wire, you can actually go up to a length 3 wire and maybe reduce a little bit of that pressure. If I'm being honest, the rule that I have when it comes to over-the-counter hearing aids and prescription hearing aids is that if they are not comfortable, you are not going to want to wear them, which means they could be the best performing hearing aids in the world, but if you can't wear them, that doesn't matter at all. Now, maybe it's just me and I have really weak ear canals, and your ear canals might be a lot tougher than mine, or your ear canals might have more of an upward angle than mine do, and these might be a perfect fit for you. But for some individuals, they're going to be so uncomfortable that you can't wear them, which is unfortunate because these are some of the best performing over-the-counter hearing aids that I've reviewed on my channel over the past several years. Okay, on a more positive note, these devices have a feature that isn't necessarily new, but it is new since I released my original review of the Lexie B2 devices, and that is that you can do Bluetooth streaming from an Apple device directly into these hearing aids. I'm talking about music, and I'm talking about phone calls. This Bluetooth low energy does allow you to do some streaming. I'm not a huge fan of the sound quality of these, especially if you end up using the open rubber domes, because you leak out too much low frequency. It would be great if these actually had Bluetooth LE audio, which is the newest form of Bluetooth that a lot of prescription hearing aids are now starting to use, because the sound quality of LE audio is way better than Bluetooth low energy. The B2 Plus still use the same Lexie app that is basically the original Bose sound control app. Now, you can technically use this app on an Android device. You do not have to have an Apple device to make adjustments with the app. Now, even though the app is very similar to the original Bose sound control app, they have added a new feature, which is an in-app hearing test. How this works is that you basically wear your B2 Plus devices with a pair of the closed domes for more accurate results and listen for beeps. When you hear the beeps, you click the button. It will test your right ear and your left ear independently, and once completed, the in-app hearing test will not tell you what your hearing thresholds are, but it will tell you what it's recommending for your first fit settings. It will also not tell you if you're a good candidate for these over-the-counter devices or if you should consider professional assistance. For instance, I happen to have a significant asymmetry in the hearing between my right ear and my left ear, and after doing this in-app hearing test, it did not warn me that I should be going and seeing a medical professional due to that asymmetry, because an asymmetry could be the sign of a serious medical condition like a tumor growing on your auditory nerve. I would say that this is the main concern that most hearing care professionals have with over-the-counter hearing aids, which is that you're going to have serious medical conditions going undiagnosed. Now, assuming that you are a good candidate for these devices, this in-app hearing test should theoretically get you closer to your hearing loss prescription because it will customize the audio for you. What do I mean by customizing the audio? Well, basically when you're looking at the app, you can make changes to the world volume, which is your overall volume. You can adjust it between having more treble or having more bass, and it does work like an offset. So if you get more bass, it drops the treble, and if you want more treble, it drops the bass. You can also adjust your left-right balance if you need more amplitude on your left-hand side or need more amplitude on your right-hand side. You can adjust for that. And you can toggle on the front focus feature for more directionality, or you can leave it as an everywhere setting where you're picking up sound from 360 degrees. You can also have different environmental settings for things like noisy indoor environments, outdoors, music, and everyday listening. You can also edit these and personalize your own environments with this as well. The other thing that you can see inside of the app is what your remaining percentage of battery life is. Of course, even though you can use this app to customize the audio of your Lexie B2 Plus over-the-counter hearing aids, I never trust anything until I can measure it. That is exactly why I'm going to be performing real ear measurement with these devices. And just in case you are unaware of what real ear measurement is, it's basically a way that we can verify how much amplification you're receiving from a pair of hearing aids to see if they're actually capable of meeting your hearing loss prescription. If you want to learn more about real ear measurement, I will have a video linked in the description. Now, from an acoustic perspective, the Lexie B2 Plus devices are virtually identical to the Lexie B2 devices. So in this detailed review, I'm going to focus primarily on the highlights. Once again, I enlisted the help of my assistant Bree, who has a flat, mild to moderate sensorineural hearing loss within the fitting range of the Lexie B2 Plus hearing aids. The basic concept of real ear measurement is that we are going to be using probe microphone tubes placed inside of the ear canals and measuring the amplification of the hearing aids, taking into account the shape and size of an individual's ear canals. We can view these measures on our computer screen to see how close we are to an individual's prescription based on their level of hearing loss. To start, we measured Bree's ear canal resonance without wearing these devices, which is the natural amplification effect that is provided by her ear canals. This is indicated by the solid pink line. The pink hashmark line is the NAL/NL2 prescription for her hearing loss. Next, we measured the default amount of amplification with the Lexie B2 Plus devices right out of the box, with world volume set at 20 and the treble bass setting at 0. This is indicated by the solid green line. Ideally, for a perfect prescriptive match, the solid line would overlap with the green hashmark line as closely as possible. Anywhere the solid green line is above the green hashmark line, we would be over-amplifying sound in that frequency range, and anywhere it is below the green hashmark line, we would be under-amplifying sound in that frequency range. As you can see, at the default settings, we are not doing a good job of meeting the prescription for Bree's hearing loss, which does require that we make some adjustments. However, when we apply Bree's in-app hearing test adjustments, which is indicated by the solid turquoise line, we can see that the line is different than the default settings, which actually took us further away from her prescription. Essentially meaning that using the programming recommendations of the in-app hearing test would result in worse hearing performance. Of course, we wanted to see how close we could match Bree's prescription by using the adjustments inside of the app. This new solid green line illustrates these adjustments. Using a world volume of 35 instead of 25, and a plus 10 treble adjustment with a balance of 10 towards the left ear, we are able to do a much better job of matching Bree's hearing loss prescription. The only issue at these levels is that feedback was a huge problem. Essentially, these hearing devices were whistling uncontrollably even when we were using the closed domes. Of course, when programming hearing aids, we also have to focus on something called compression, which means that we need to give less amplification to loud sounds so they remain comfortable, and more amplification to soft level sounds so they become audible. And there are no specific compression adjustments when you are using the app. So let's see how the Lexie B2 Plus devices did from a compression standpoint. While the Lexie B2 Plus devices did a good job of compressing loud sounds as indicated by the solid red line, the soft level compression was not very good as indicated by the solid turquoise line. Essentially, this means that soft level speech would be a big issue, creating problems trying to understand soft talkers. However, because there are no specific compression adjustments, we would not be able to improve audibility of soft level speech without inadvertently over amplifying average and loud level speech. Okay, so overall, after performing real ear measurement on these devices, what I would say is that they do a pretty good job, but only if you actually go in and have them verified by a hearing care professional. The initial fit settings I do not think are very good at all. Now, one source that I usually like to cite when I'm doing a review of over-the-counter hearing aids is the HearAdvisor sound score. This score that you can find on HearAdvisor.com evaluates the performance of different over-the-counter and prescription hearing aids based on their initial fit settings and their tuned fit settings for a N3 moderate hearing loss that you can see here on the screen. The Lexie B2s had a sound score of 4.6 out of 5, which ranked them in the top 3 of the over-the-counter hearing aid category. HearAdvisor also happened to identify a significant under-amplification of soft-level speech compression and an over-amplification of loud-level speech compression, essentially just reinforcing all of my findings. At the end of the day, from a performance perspective, the Lexie B2 Plus self-fitting over-the-counter hearing aids are pretty good over-the-counter hearing aids as long as you can get them programmed closely to your hearing loss prescription, which I will say is pretty difficult to do if you can't do real ear measurement on them. I love that these devices can stream audio directly into your ears, and of course they are not very comfortable to wear if you ask me, but that could be just based on my perception. Your perception might be completely different. So if you happen to have a mild to moderate hearing loss and you're looking for a little bit of a boost and you're not ready to go all in on a pair of prescription hearing aids with professional audiologic care, the Lexie B2 Plus self-fitting over-the-counter hearing aids might be a good starting point for you.